outside at the fallen state is based, you mentioned contract. You said contracted to be here.
Yes,
So
sir.
this fallen state is based on contract. So, okay, how does one get that contract off of them? Is that possible?
Yeah, we do. First of all, becoming accountable, recognizing who you are. Again, going back to the spiritual side, there is this flesh, it's going to expire. But you, as a spiritual being, always were, always will be, always were, always will be. So then, when you recognize that, okay, then be accountable and willing to recognize, all right, if I put some dirt out in the past, I need to clean that up. Spiritually, first of all, you ever seen these people? They always say, we're going to issue you an apology. Why are they so ready to issue you an apology? Well, because that's where the spiritual cleansing starts. They don't tell you that. Why do the Catholics go into a little booth and then, forgive me, I have sinned, I'm asking for an apology? That's because that's the beginning of the spiritual cleansing. Being willing to, first of all, be accountable for what you did. And then second, being willing to apologize. Now, then you got to put some other energies behind that, but that's where it starts.
Okay, so all right. Okay, just so I'm clear. So the women that are taking over and then hopping into their fifth dimension, who would they be apologizing to, and how would that sound?
I mean, it depends on what we're talking about, but you got to remember everything started from her.
Okay.
She's got a lot of apologizing to do. Is she willing to recognize that it comes from her? Again, I say to you, yeah, they're men, the vast majority of crimes and issues, it's the men, but all of them come from the woman. You got to ask yourself, why? How did she create this being? Why would she create somebody who comes up and wants to do all of these harmful things to society? What's going on in her mind? See, the problem is, this is why I go into molecular structure. She doesn't even know what she's doing. I'm going to say this. The woman is spraying energies all across this planet. She has no clue that she's the one who's causing issues and energies to come. When she gets in order, it's got to clean up. It's got to. It doesn't have a choice because she is the one who's bringing the energies in the first place.
Okay, so the individual, because this is an individual thing or a collective.
First of all, everything, and I mean everything, and I mean everything starts with self first. Number one, everything. So when she cleans up, then everybody around her is going to come into order with who she is. It's always self. Because when you start trying to focus on people outside of you, then you're not doing your dimension any justice, because it starts with you. And as soon as you start cleaning up self, everybody who you want to come to you, everybody who you want to be in your circle, they're going to find you.
So as a guy, do I also have like spiritual baggage associated with me because of patriarchy? Do I also have to apologize as well?
Sir, yes.
Okay.
Are you a spiritual entity? Because remember, your vessel will expire, but the energy you put out in that vessel, oh, it's going to travel with you. So when you leave and you come back, you're going to have it with you. And the energies that know about it, and I can't talk about it right now, but the entities that know about what your spiritual baggage is, they're going to put it on you when you get back here.
Oh, so how would that go? I'm sorry, what you say?
I said when you reincarnate, if you will. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So does the does the lifting of the contract, is it the same for the male and the female? the process of how you
You
lift
got to
up?
understand, we're all spiritual beings. You follow me? So it's the same. We're just in these vessels are listen, your vessel is a contract. Your vessel is telling what you did in a past life. It's telling, as a matter of fact, see, that's why I tell people, like, I know certain things about your history. So your vessel speaks in that I understand when I look at you or look at somebody, I can know what was going on with your parents at a specific time, or your mother in particular. Not necessarily your father, but your mother. I could tell what was going on with her. Again, because your vessel speaks, it is a contract in itself. So I'm saying all that to say that your vessel is just you can look at it like a vehicle so that you can maneuver around in this dimension. That's really all it is. As a spiritual entity, you are the same as the next female. As a matter of fact, I won't even go into that. But you're the same. It's the same thing. But the vessel is telling a story about energies put out at another time.
So do you believe that right now, because both sides have this debt on them, should males and females even be around each other right now?
I'm not one to tell people what to do. When I speak to somebody, it's all about finding your happiness. All right. First of all, find your peace and happiness, because once you do that, everything is going to come into order. The second thing with women that I tell them is know who you are contracting with and respect his nature. I find a big problem with the fact that women want to call men dogs, want to be disrespectful to them, and say all of these things. But it's like, he's been telling you, yeah, he's a cheater, he's a this, but he's been telling you that what his nature is. And then we have been trained in society to say, oh, I want a good man. Well, what is a good man? Because I would say the good man is the one that tried to tell you he didn't want to have a relationship. Because his nature is to spread his seed. That's the one that was trying to be honest with you. But you didn't want that. You wanted the one who was going to lie to you and tell you, yeah, girl, I'm going to be with you for the rest of my, okay. But that's not in the nature of a male. So I don't know. I hope I'm answering your question.
Okay, for sure. So outside of just the male specifically, so outside of spreading the seed for the male, that's it. Nothing else. Lifting things, move something around, spread seed. That's it. And women shouldn't really expect anything more from that.
Let me ask you a question. See if you can finish this sentence that we all know. It takes a village.
To raise a child.
What's the village? We haven't seen a village since the invent of marriage. What happened to the village? And they want to act like, oh, this come from Africa. No, it didn't. This was here in the Americas with the clans, because there were clans here in the Americas. It takes a village. Well, what's the village? Her mother, her grandmother, her sisters, her cousins, her aunts, her nieces, her girlfriends. It's the women. In the matriarchy, there was no pressing him about rearing or protecting or providing for a child. There was never that. What happened to the village?
Okay. All right. So right now today, so what should be the expectations if people are in a relationship? Because I want to go into contract because I really want to understand that more. But before I go into there, so people that's in a relationship, guy, girl, they got their thing going. A woman hears this, what you're saying, and she looks at her guy as what now?
Let me say this, Ken. What I do, Ken, I'm just going to give you what the facts are. I do not do relationship therapy. All right. I'm just giving you the facts. So let me say this. When I give the facts to my students or anybody else who's watched my sessions, I get a lot of people saying, you know what? Your information helped my relationship. It helped my marriage. All right. Because now I better understand who I'm contracting with. So the only thing that I'm here to do is just to give the facts. I'm not here to give you therapy. You got to take the information and use it for your advantage and your benefit. So my thing is, do you know who this man is? I'm going to say this. Women need to back up before they open their legs to men. Why? Because these women don't know who you are. So they open their, because you got to understand, again, this flesh has its own nature. The flesh of the male is to plant seed. So that flesh is so powerful that it's going to tell him to do or say what he needs to say in order to plant the seed, because that's the first job of the flesh, is to plant seeds. And if you're not respecting that nature, then the problem is not him, it's you. When we're talking about law and natural law, it is about respecting the nature of the beings that you're contracting with. So if you're dealing with him, understand what his nature is and where he's supposed to be, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's say he's supposed to be whatever. Going back to the spirit versus the flesh. If a man is in honor and intact with his spirit, he might be able to honor the things that he's saying. But that doesn't negate the fact that he is still in that male flesh vessel, and it has a nature, and it's telling him to plant some seed. If you're not respecting that, the problem is not him, the problem is you. Because men have told you who they are. When we have an epidemic of women saying he don't take care of his baby, he don't take care of his baby, why would you want to be in that epidemic? Instead of, let me take my time, know who this man is before I allow him to plant seed in me. Is he even worthy of planting seed? See, this is why, let me go into this, and then I'm gonna back off. But this is why women coming at me and they tell me, oh, he is low down, dirty, this and that and that. Hold on now. Hold on. Because you can't tell me about what he is without telling me about who you are. You can't tell me about what he is without telling me about who you are, because he is your reflection. And so if you are telling me you laid down with a man who's a low down, dirty, no good, this, that, and that, I got to wonder, let me rephrase that. I know where your mind is. I know who you are. So this is why it's important, before we start dissing him and pointing fingers and all that, we got to look at self, because there ain't no baby daddy unless you say yes.
How are these contracts formed and made? Like, what binds them?
Which contract?
When you were saying, we're contracted to be here, right? How, like, where does that start? How does that work?
All right. So as spiritual entities, all right, once again, you're your ancestor. So when the vessel expires, there's a spiritual essence. Now, I can't go deep into it here, but there's a spiritual essence that always continues to be. That's why we call ourselves ethereal beings, ether, all right? So what happens is, when it's time for that spirit to come back up in here, it's got a contract with a feminine entity to go through the womb in order to come back in here. All right. So what the contract looks like is that let's understand, because when people see a baby, they just think, oh, well, the innocent little baby. No. A child is an old spirit coming back in a new vessel. It chose the mother. But you look at it and think, well, no, it's innocent. It don't have that much power. That the child is the most powerful being in the room. That's the one that's just coming back in here from the ether. You got to understand, the child is the one with the real power. So what happens is, this is why the system wants to get your children into school as soon as possible, so we can program their mind. All right. So I'm letting you know, the child has a lot of power. Then when you program it, well, then it forgets, just like the rest of us have forgotten. But if somebody was training it and teaching that child what these true laws are, you'd have a different society, period.
Okay. So those that baby girl just comes into the world, right? The laws that you're speaking of, how do you believe that those baby girls should be educated when it comes to the law? How do you go about that?
So originally, again, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I'm just letting you know, originally the females were taught all of the knowledge, and then the women started training the males. When you know this term Mason, all right, Mason, you're familiar with the Mason, right?
My son, yes.
Okay, so you know the breakdown.
Yes.
Where the mother was teaching the son that esoteric knowledge. Mm-hmm. That's where the term Mason comes from. So at this point, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female. They need to understand the universal law and who they are on a molecular level, on a historical level. Even when we're talking about all of this, these are laws. They need to be taught. They haven't been taught. Why do we not know what the universal laws are? We just can pick stuff. Okay, what's done in the dark can come to the light, or, and we just know pieces of it. Why don't we know the whole thing? They get taught that in masonry school. The Masons get taught universal laws. They call them the 7 Hermetic principles. Why isn't the rest of society being taught that? That's what you have to know in order to be able to walk in honor with the universe. But because we're ignorant of those laws, what they say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Well, that's how the universe plays. If you're ignorant of the law and you do something that is not in harmony with the universe, there's no excuse. You're ready to get that energy back, whether you like it or not, unless you know how to cleanse those spiritual energies.
So women specifically, if women begin to tap into the universal law, that will begin to raise their state of consciousness, agency, things like, is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's what you're seeing right now. That's exactly what you're seeing right now as you see her pull away. You're seeing her raising her spiritual consciousness because she's saying, I want my peace. I know I deserve this. I have self-love. And I don't have to stand for this. She's coming into peace. She's recognizing now that, okay, he ain't doing what they told us he's supposed to do. So why do I keep fighting him? I'm gonna just go over here and do it myself. That's what you're seeing. Her saying, I'm tired of fighting. I don't have to fight. I can do it myself. I don't have to depend on anybody. So let me go over here and do it myself and be in peace. That's what you're seeing.
So you mentioned molecular structure. What did you mean by that?
Who are you as a being carrying a Y chromosome? Who is she as a being carrying 2 X chromosomes? Listen, that the molecular structure is huge. Why? And I can only go into so much of it here because I'm only allowed to do that spiritually. but the molecular structure of who she is huge. When you're talking about those 2X chromosomes that she's carrying and what's going on with it and why she can't tap into it. What is his Y chromosome? Where did it come from? Who is he? What is he really? What is he made of? Does the woman know that all males were originally female? Wait a minute, what? Yeah. Does she know that? Does she know that inside of you, we're talking about the molecular structure of a male? What is that Y chromosome? That Y chromosome is, you got that one Y chromosome and everything else is X chromosomes. That Y chromosome is constantly fighting against the X within every male. That Y chromosome is fighting against the X chromosome in the male. So what do you think? If he's not intact spiritually, he's going to do to you as a feminine being, or he's going to fight, because that's what's going on within him. So you got to understand who he is from a molecular structure to even be able to do business with him, to understand the fact that he's fighting on the inside. So I need to make sure I'm dealing with somebody who's spiritually intact, because if he's not, his flesh will take over without a doubt.
So when women are expecting men to be protectors and providers, and that is going against their nature, when men expect women to be nurturers, is that expectation correct?
Yes, sir.
It is, okay.
Yes, sir. If she's in her right mind, that's what she's going to do, and you don't have to ask her to do it.
So nurture, that is so the woman naturally is the nurturer, but the man is not naturally the protector and the provider.
No.
No, okay.
No. I mean, you got to understand it. Let me break this down, because women think they're supposed to be protected or whatever. And you've been here. I don't know if you're going to share anything or whatever, or have any resonations with what I'm about to say. But the fact that if a woman is in danger, she's bringing it. She's bringing it. I have so many situations, and one right now, where a male thought he was supposed to protect her, and that's what he called himself doing. He ended up murdering someone. Now he's on trial for that. But let's understand that she was bringing all of the issue in the first place that caused him to be in that situation. Why am I saying when she gets herself together? He would have never had to step up in that way for her, but her energies were off. The things that she was doing, she was bringing that danger. She brought it to herself. When she steps up and recognizes who she is, you don't have to protect her. Her energies are going to protect her.
Okay, can you break that down? Just chunk it down. Just so when you're saying she's bringing the energy to her, is it her thoughts? Is it something from her diet? Is it something from the womb? Is it something going on that's with the heart? What do you mean by she's bringing the danger?
What she's doing? So, and I can't go into that case that I'm talking about, but just let me give you an example. If okay, you've heard, let's say you were in a club, all right, and you heard comedians joke about this, and she's in a club and some man does whatever he does to her, and then there's this whole rigmarole, and now he's expected to step up for her and honor her for whatever reason. But the problem is that it's never understood that she has brought that energy. Again, everybody is your reflection. So if there's a situation where she's in a club or whatever, they're doing whatever, and she's getting these energies, she's bringing it. So now he's got to step in, because she's expecting, well, baby, he did this to me. What you gonna do? Now he's got to step up when she's the one who brought the energy. That's what I'm talking about. when she gets her energies right, he won't have to step up like that.
So is there any scenario where the male, do you believe, should be the protector in the way that we understand?
Listen, I'm not saying that the male doing that job is a bad thing. What I'm saying to you is it is not in the nature. That is all I'm saying. It is not in the nature. So when you get a male to do that, then you got an exception. That's not the norm. And I think you know this. I think you've talked to enough people where enough brothers or males, and you have an understanding that that's not in general what they even care to do. It's not in their nature. But it's expected because society has made men feel that, oh, if you don't do this, you ain't no good, you low down. The same way they made women feel, oh, if you don't have a man in your life, if you can't keep a man, then you're not worthy, you're not a real woman. The problem is that what we've been fed in this society is backwards. Is not in alignment with nature. That's what I'm saying.
So according to nature, the woman looks like what? Just on a regular basis, according to nature, with no male contact, the woman looks like what?
Well, the woman, she takes care of whatever business she wants to take. Let me go into this. If you're talking about what the woman looks like, she looks happy. She looks unfrustrated. She's in good health. She's wealthy. She's running businesses. I'm saying to you, she has learned even to take care of the child and do all those other things that she wants to do, and she's in peace. If you're talking about, again, even if you just go back to the village, it wasn't that it was centered around a male. It was just centered around family structure and doing the best for the child. And then whatever business she wanted to take care of, that's what she took care of. I'm not suggesting one way or the other. I'm letting you know we're going back to nature. A lot of people don't like hearing this information. We're going back to nature. What you're seeing when you're seeing women pull away and you're seeing men go at it like this, we're going back to nature, like it or not. I'm just giving you the facts about what's happening. You don't have to like it. You don't have to appreciate what I'm saying. Here are the facts. So now that you know, I say get yourself in order so that you come out on the best side of this game, males and females.
So with women making those decisions, does it have anything to do with astrology or where we're at in the cosmos? Does that have anything to do with it?
Okay. I'm not a big astrology. Astrology is not my strong suit. This is, as they say, the age of Aquarius. I'm an Aquarian. Could be.
Okay. Now you mentioned law a couple times. What? Now there's man's law and there's natural law. What's the difference?
All right. So there's universal law. I talked about that. That is where we are dealing with whatever energy you put out must come back. All right. That's universal law. Natural law. Natural law deals with the fact that we live in abundance. If you look at nature, you go plant a seed. You plant a tomato seed, you're going to get a tomato plant, and it's going to have a whole bunch of tomatoes in it, and it's going to have a whole bunch of seeds in it. That's abundance. So when you plant a seed, the universe returns it. And you got to understand that nature is mimicking universe. So when you plant something and you get it back, okay, you're getting it in multiples. When you're talking about the natural law, you're also dealing with respecting the nature of the beings that show up in this third dimension, respecting their nature. A dog is going to bark. A cat is going to meow. You don't buy a cat so it can be a guard dog for your house. You're not respecting the nature of that being. so the same